9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, you saw the shade awkwardly go up, and I had to fix it right before I got in there. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You can listen to us anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the 99.7 WTN app. The show is brought to you by our fabulous friends at Better Water LLC. If you need water filtration systems, if you need water softeners, if you're tired of what they're putting in your water, betterwater.com. All right, hey, real quick. You got Mac's cell phone number, right? All right, call him. We're going to call Mac. We're going to do a wellness check on our old buddy Mac Mory. And, Joan, let's try not to rub it in too hard. Let's try to show some grace here.
Well, Mac, I mean, I'm sure he understands, right? Because he's a fan.
We need to check on our friend.
Uh-huh.
And hey, once it starts ringing, I want you to pot it up because if it goes straight to voicemail, I have something for him anyway. Okay? All right, thank you.
Poor Mac.
Make sure my audio's up.
Hey, did you want to hear how an eagle sounds too?
I do.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagle!
It's the true way it sounds in the wild.
That's how they sound. That's how they sound. All right. Are you ringing Mac? You getting him on the line? All right. Mason's working behind the scenes. So I don't know if anybody just noticed this, but maybe Mac is a jinx. The first time he gets to go to the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs lose. They never lost while he was here working for us.
Right.
Weird how that works out.
They may kick him out of Kansas City.
They might. And I'm going to let him know that he always has a home here in case he wants to stop jinxing his team. The game was so bad last night. Is the game so bad?
Qualify, like, how do you mean bad?
Just boring. Just not exciting. We tuned in.
An automated voice messaging system.
Here we go.
Oh, here you go.
913.
Yeah, don't. Whoa.
All right, there you go.
4.
Mm-hmm.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Mac, it's Chris and everybody in Nashville, and we just wanted to check on you, bud.
EGLSES, Eagles! Let's go, birds!
Give us a call back when you can. Love you, bud. Bye. All right. He'll find that at some point. I know. Yeah. I know he's awake.
When he wakes up from his drunken stupor.
Well, no, I know he's awake. He was responding to tweets earlier. I know he's awake.
See?
And I'm sure there was much less of a party last night than there would have been if they had won. Yeah, we probably wouldn't.
What's happening is he's refusing your phone call.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. He just turned down the phone call. So the game, I think the game was so boring, so non-competitive last night that the president started talking about pennies in the middle of the game while he's there in the VIP box. He's talking about pennies. Now, Joan, I know you love the game, but nobody else did. It was just
such a surprise that it turned out that way, you know.
It was, yeah. And the halftime show was terrible. I'm a big hip-hop guy. Everybody knows that. That's how I kind of got my start in the industry here in radio. Love hip-hop. Hated that halftime show. My wife is a big in the record industry, and so she wanted to watch the halftime show. She always does. Oh, Mac just sent me a text. He said, I'm on the air, brother, then off to the airport. I'll see if I can call. Sure.
He'll see if he can call while he's sitting in the car.
He's dodging phone calls. He could have answered that.
Yeah.
I see Mason answer phone calls in here all the time.
Yeah, I don't care about this show. No, that's not true. Not true at all.
No,
clarify
good
there.
grief. But no, the game was awful. The halftime show was awful. My wife wanted to watch the halftime show. We turn it on. It's like, this is the halftime show. And for a guy that likes hip hop, I like some of the Kendrick Lamar stuff. I don't like all of it. The majority of it's not great, but there's some stuff that's good. And that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. They whiffed on that. I don't remember any memorable commercials. Are there any commercials that stood out to you as fantastic?
I did like seeing Tom Cruise, even though you think he's 4'6" or something.
4'8". I gave him a little bit of a little generosity.
And Brad Pitt he did that thing before the show began. Well, I guess the pre-show. He looked really good.
Yeah.
You're tough to please.
I am.
Yeah.
I wasn't really tuned in. And then when it was on in the background. I wasn't really paying attention. All right, so, but the one thing that I thought was the funniest part of all of it was in the middle of the game, a True Social post comes out from Donald J. Trump. And this is just an eye into the mind of men everywhere. Like, just zoning out, and you're thinking, I think we should get rid of the penny. Like, this is terrible. He said, for far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I've instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our government, our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. Do you want to get rid of the penny? 615-737-9986. Listen, it's $179 million a year to mint the penny. $179 million a year. The average American's lifetime tax contribution is $524,000. So you would save, if you got rid of the penny, you would save the lifetime taxes of about 341 Americans. That's nothing to blink at. It's crazy. And that's just 1 year. But it's not also about the money. It's just about the waste, right? Nobody really cares about the penny. Nobody's really interested in the penny. Can we get rid of the penny? Is it time to get rid of the penny? Your call's at 615-737-9986. Also, you go from one extreme to the other. On Friday, Donald Trump was with the Japanese Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister of Japan pledged an investment of $1 trillion in the United States.
Also, with the inauguration of President Trump, the momentum for Japanese companies to invest in the United States is growing even stronger. Today, I conveyed my willingness to cooperate together to elevate Japan's investment in the United States to an unprecedented amount of $1 trillion. President Trump and myself also concurred to elevate the Japan-U.S. partnership to an even higher level through improving business environment and increasing bilateral investment and employment, strengthening each other's industries, leading the world in developing advanced technologies such as AI and leading-edge semiconductors, and strongly promoting efforts to harness the energy of the growing market in the Indo-Pacific.
One extreme to the other. So Friday, they're talking about a $1 trillion investment from Japan. Sunday night, he's talking about getting rid of the penny. It's insane. He did add that the U.S. and Japan would be working together on AI as well as other technologies. During that same press conference, Trump touted the amount of investment that has been pouring into the U.S., which it has. And you've had many, many countries say, listen, we've been waiting 4 years for this. And it makes you wonder, what were Biden and his friends doing? But Japan, $1 trillion. And they also said that there'll be a joint venture with oil and gas between Japan and the U.S.
We're talking about the pipeline in Alaska, which is the closest point of major oil and gas to Japan by far, less than half the distance of any other location. We're talking about a joint venture of some type between Japan and us, having to do with Alaska oil and gas, and that's very exciting. They're very excited about it, so are we.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of money pouring in, man. A lot of money. So it's just one extreme to the other with this guy, and I love it. And at the meantime, it's not just me that loves it. Overwhelmingly, the American people are looking at what Donald Trump is doing, and his approval rating is now higher than it has ever been. Ever. And Margaret Brennan on CBS, much to her chagrin, she had to report those details to you.
Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He is doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that.
Yeah, no kidding. Promises made, promises kept actually helps your approval rating. The American people elected Donald Trump to do what he's doing right now, and he's keeping his word. In fact, they go on here to say that part of the poll was Trump and campaign promises. Is he doing what he promised to do?
In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is today in big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
Yeah, this is what happens. You tell people what you're going to do, and then you follow through, and people are like, whoa, we haven't seen this from many other politicians. This is crazy. And people like it. People like it. Even people that don't like what Donald Trump is doing understand and acknowledge that he's doing what he promised to do on the campaign trail. And it's massive. It's a massive win. They're talking about it on CBS, and you could tell by the reaction he got at the Super Bowl. At the Super Bowl, Donald Trump gets shown on the screen for split second here, and then the crowd goes absolutely bananas for him. Cheering for the president. First president to ever go to a Super Bowl game. He wasn't too entertained. He ended up tweeting about the penny. But just to put this into perspective, Taylor Swift was also shown on the screen at the Super Bowl. She was. You ever see the meme where it's like the monkey puppet doing the side eye? You seen that? You seen that meme?
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about?
No, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Taylor Swift did that while she was on the screen at the Super Bowl. So she's on the screen inside the stadium, and she does the monkey puppet meme. They start booing her.
Yeah, I was going to say. That sounds like booing.
She does a little side eye.
That's so funny to me.
Taylor Swift gets booed. Donald Trump gets cheered.
I just think it's funny that so many football fans are done with that. They're so over it.
America's healing, man. America is healing. And listen, what did Charlie Kirk last night on X, he said we're witnessing a national exorcism at the game. Yeah, it kind of felt that way. But listen, all the talking head shows all weekend long, they're so upset that Donald Trump is doing what he promised to do. Here's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
We begin with President Trump's historic overhaul of the federal government that is proceeding at an unprecedented pace and scale. The president has tasked Elon Musk, the world's richest man, with carrying out his mission. And now Musk and his team of young tech engineers have inserted themselves into at least 17 federal agencies, according to the New York Times.
And she looks so unhappy about it. This is what bugs me the most. We're cutting out wasteful spending. Shouldn't every American that pays taxes say, please stop the waste, stop the abuse, stop the fraud? Shouldn't every American, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, say this is a good thing? You would think so, but they don't react that way. They don't react that way at all. Trump, during his Super Bowl interview, says, you know what? It doesn't really matter how you're feeling. Your feelings be damned. We're going to keep finding the hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's good.
Yeah, go look over there too. Now you'll get a slew of Democrats banging on the door and yelling about how they're not thieves. Yeah, you'll get that. But let's go through every industry.
We're going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military.
Yep.
Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, the people elected me on that.
They did. And Trump is delivering on that. Promises made, promises kept. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, No lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Another agency has just gotten the axe from Doge and what police found inside a stolen car in Lebanon. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You guys should be inside the group chat with me, Mandis, and Murphy right now.
Uh-oh.
The great penny debate of 2025 is happening before our eyes. And I seem to be the only one defending pennies.
Really?
I'm the only one. Mandis is out. Murphy's out. But I'm over here defending their honor. I'm a big fan of pennies.
Yeah, but if it costs 2 pennies to make a penny, does it make any sense to make a penny?
It's worth it. What about the rounding down and rounding up?
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the rounding. We're gonna add more math into this equation. Plus, Joan.
Yeah.
Come on. What are we gonna do? What? Nothing's gonna be $9.99 anymore?
Apparently not. It'll go into 5s. It'll be $9.95.
You guys know I love President Trump. I do. Not with the penny.
You think he's wrong?
Not with the penny elimination. I said to the guys, I said I'm a big fan of pennies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a penny aficionado. I have steel pennies from back in World War II days.
So that's different.
Oh, now it's different?
Yeah, now it's different. Those are worth well more than a penny or 2 pennies.
My love of the penny goes back a long way.
Yeah, that's at least worth 3.
Yeah.
I even have a half penny. You know they used to make half penny coins?
pennies?
I did. I had a half penny.
That's impressive.
That was pretty good. What do you guys think? Are you in or are you out on the penny? 615-737-9986.
I think they should make the penny like $2 bills, novelty items.
I have a couple of those too.
I do.
You know what I do with the $2 bills?
What?
It's just fun. You stuff them in the Easter eggs.
Ooh, that's cool.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to open
Yeah.
up, and then they don't know what the hell to do with it.
Yes. What is this real? Is this Monopoly money?
Here's money, but you're not allowed to spend it. You have to sit on that now.
Hold on to that. Invest it.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to collect $2 bills when I worked at the Omni Hotel. It was my big thing, and COVID hit, and I had to spend all of them. But I had $600 in $2 bills, and I was like,
You had 600. You had
it's $600 in $2 bills. Yeah,
You had 300 $2 bills.
Yes, sir. Rich people think it's pretty cool to tip $2 bills, and I was like, you know what?
Okay.
It's more than $1. I'll take it.
I've never seen the super text line so divided.
On pennies?
On pennies.
That's crazy.
People say it's out. It's so stupid. Somebody said, I say get rid of all change. Penny in. They said the penny's not going away. It's just not going to be minted again. Imagine how many pennies are out there. Yeah. Okay. All right.
The wheat penny. Wait, is the wheat penny the half penny?
I think maybe. I'm not sure.
7383 said it's called a wheat penny, but they didn't say what it is.
The half penny I have has a Native American head on it.
Oh.
It's from like 1860 something.
That's cool. Do you know if it's worth more than a penny or a half penny?
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth more, and it's in good condition. When my grandfather passed away, he had a huge coin collection.
Nice.
And that kind of like got me rolling. I love collecting old coins. But we'll take your calls. A lot of people lining up to talk about the penny. We'll take your calls on the penny. Should it stay or should it go? 615-737-9986. When we get back right now, the news.
Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 37 now, and we do have some heavier rain moving in during the midweek, so stick around for the forecast right after the news. The latest shakeup in Washington, the demise of the CFPB.
Protection Bureau, a government watchdog charged with safeguarding consumers' finances, ordered to cease all supervision and examination activity. The day before, Musk tweeting CFPB RIP. The move's happening even though only Congress has the power to shut down federal agencies.
ABC's Selena Wang. Actually, there are roughly 1,700 employees at the CFPB, but only a few hundred workers have positions which are mandated by law to exist. There's a new security update for Metro schools, and it involves every high school. Channel 4's Jordan James.
Next week, school board members will be voting on this proposal, and if approved, a brand new weapon detection system will now be in place at all of the high schools. This comes after Metro Schools says that they have conducted a successful pilot program at Antioch High School. Unlike traditional metal detectors, Evolve relies on artificial intelligence to scan for weapons. MNPS says that it will cost more than $1.2 $2 million a year.
Now, that school board meeting where it'll be voted on is tomorrow. Meantime, deputies in McMinn County are giving credit to a parent who found a video on their son's phone that showed the son and another teen dressed in masks and naming students who they would target in a shooting. Police arrested those teens on Friday and searched their phones. It turned up additional videos as well. Those teens have been charged with making terrorist threats against their high school. And in Lebanon, a police spotted a stolen vehicle in a hotel parking lot. The search of that vehicle turned up hundreds of pieces of stolen mail and materials to make fake IDs. The Range Rover had been stolen from Missouri, but the mail came from people in the mid-state and all around the country. 2 people from California were arrested. Police think they're linked to a larger operation. That's the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 9:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, True Social, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Our show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're talking about the penny. The football game last night was so boring that while he's sitting in a VIP box watching the game, Donald Trump starts going off about the penny. That's how you know it was a bad Super Bowl. The guy is in attendance. And he's like, I've actually been thinking about the penny. He said, for far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I have instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our government. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. You want to get rid of pennies? Delana in Chapel Hill, your thoughts on pennies?
Well, I agree with the president. We've waited decades, actually my entire lifetime, to have a president who cares enough to get rid of wasteful spending in our government. I've never had a president who wants to get rid of wasteful spending. All they want to do is spend, spend, spend.
But don't you think that could be passed on to you? Everything's going to be rounded up in 5s and 10s now?
It balances out, Chris. I mean, if you love the penny, you collect them before they're all gone. You can have all you want. I'll give you all of mine if you want them.
Sign me up.
But I'm just saying, I mean, he's right. If it's costing you gave a number earlier that blew me away about how much it is per person to keep the pennies.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
It's wild. It's like hold on, I have it here in front of me. It's like $100-something million a year to mint the penny. All right, $179 million a year to mint the penny. And the average American's lifetime tax contribution is $524,000. So it would be the entire lifetime of 341 Americans to mint the penny per year. Their entire tax bill of their life per year for 341 Americans.
You think about that, and we're talking about pennies here. The smallest thing that you could ever possibly consider, pennies. And if he's talking about pennies, think of all the other things that we're missing.
I'm with you. I appreciate the call.
Big things.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Jeremy in Columbia, your thoughts on the penny?
Hey, man. So I was thinking, there are trillions, probably billions of trillions of pennies in circulation already, right? So if prices go down like he promises, we might still need the penny. And people are nervous about going to 100% electronic payments. So I'm more in favor of a pause, not a discontinue. And, if the things come through and the cost of metal goes down with the deals that he's making, maybe he can cut the cost of making coins.
I'm with you on a pause, and I'm way more with you on the threat of going to only electronic payments.
Yep.
That's something that we don't talk about enough. The fact that if we do go all electronic, how easy it would be to shut off everybody's bank account if they don't do the right thing.
Yep. The added bonus is that your collection of pennies might go up in value. So.
Hey, that is a bonus. I appreciate the call, Jeremy. So on the super text line, they're split 50-50, or should I say 49-51. That way we can incorporate the penny into the percentage.
I don't think we need to do that, though.
All right. Well, I did it anyway. People are split on the penny. There's a lot of money that we could be saving despite the penny, even if we don't go down that road. Yet, federal judges don't want Elon Musk looking into the things. On Friday, early Saturday, a federal judge blocked Elon Musk's Doge from accessing Treasury Department records that could contain sensitive personal data such as Social Security numbers and bank account numbers for millions of Americans. U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engelmayer issued the preliminary injunction after 19 Democrat attorney generals sued President Trump. The case filed in federal court in New York alleges the Trump administration allowed Musk's team access to the Treasury Department's central payment system in violation of federal law. So all the people that said Elon Musk wasn't elected to look into this, we didn't elect Elon Musk, they now have a federal judge that we also didn't elect shutting down Elon Musk. And they're so butthurt that he's looking into all of this. And it's honestly, it's ridiculous. We're looking for fraud. We're looking for fraud. Let's make no mistake about it. We're not looking to open up credit cards in Americans' names. We're looking for fraud. He also blocked the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent from accessing Department of Treasury data. And again, this is all based on internet theories and talk and conversation that they're looking at your personal data. We can't let them look at your personal data. Nothing was cited by the judge to support this. Nothing. No law. No logic. Nothing. And they blocked the Treasury Secretary from looking at the Treasury. Weird. Elon Musk weighed in and he said it's a corrupt judge protecting corruption. Elon, this is from the New York Post, Elon doesn't want Doge on a short leash. Elon Musk has suggested that judges who have thrown up roadblocks to his Doge crusade to trim bureaucracy should be impeached. Musk's ire against the judiciary comes after a New York-based judge temporarily restrained Doge from accessing the Treasury Department's payment systems on Saturday and other legal setbacks in recent days. So this setback is only for a week, but still, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous on its face. Elon Musk wrote, "A corrupt judge protecting corruption. He needs to be impeached now. This ruling is absolutely insane," he fumed in another post. How on earth are we supposed to stop fraud and waste of taxpayer money without looking at how the money is spent? That's literally impossible. Something super shady is going on to protect scammers. He also declared it's time in response to an ex-post from Insurrection Barbie, who asked about having a serious conversation about starting to impeach some of these judges. He further concurred with a post from Senator Mike Lee out of Utah, who argued that this has the feel of a coup, not a military coup, but a judicial one. Rep. Darrell Issa out of California announced plans to roll out legislation that would grant Doge access to the Treasury data. Engelmeyer's emergency order on Saturday to temporarily cut off Doge's access to Treasury data came in response to a lawsuit filed Friday from New York Attorney General Letitia James, who you may remember starred in the criminal persecution of Donald J. Trump. Letitia James and 18 other Democrat state attorney generals. They argued in the suit that access to the Treasury gave to Musk and his Doge team exceeded the department's statutory authority. Engelmeyer, an Obama appointee, temporarily cut off access to the Treasury's payment systems pending further litigation, and has concluded that while the lawsuit plays out, there is a risk of irreparable harm and of sensitive data leaks. These same people know that your Social Security numbers were hacked. Like just about everybody in the country's Social Security numbers were hacked, and then there wasn't a word of it from the Democrat establishment. They weren't worried about it one bit. There was no hand wringing. There was no pearl clutching. They just went, "Oh, that stinks," and they went on about their day. But now that Elon might have access to this, it's the worst thing in the world. The judge further ruled that anyone who had been granted special access to the data should destroy any and all copies of material downloaded from the Treasury Department's records and systems. At the start of February, Democrats began sounding alarms over the access of the Doge team garnered to the Treasury's payment system, which oversees trillions of dollars in outlays annually. One of the most famous members of Doge is a 19-year-old known as Big Balls, who has a hacker background. You know, it's funny. I heard Chad on Friday, and he nailed it. He's like, if you're worried about this data getting into the wrong hands, you do understand how good hackers are, right? Like they could already have it if they wanted it. Plain and simple. Yet the Democrats are upset now. I think they're upset because they've had their hands caught in the cookie jar. Our new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, was talking about why they don't want anybody looking in at the Treasury. This was yesterday outside of the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
You know, one of the favorite things about having a chance to have a conversation with a lawyer who gets it, if you will, is talking to someone who understands the separation of powers. And I mention that because we have a situation in this country right now, Attorney General, where a judge has decided unilaterally to prevent the Treasury Department from even accessing some of the records. And we're talking about even the Treasury Secretary. I guess two-part question. Have you ever heard of such a thing? and what, if anything, can be done to address that?
Have you ever heard of the Treasury Secretary not being allowed to access Treasury records? Of course not.
No, I have never heard of such a thing in my life. But, you know, it's not unexpected given the two-tier system of justice that we're facing in this country. And, you know, what Elon Musk has been doing at Doge is remarkable. He is such a great man. He is a good friend. And he is doing this for the right reasons. There's a reason the people at Treasury don't want the Secretary of Treasury nor Doge to have those records.
Yep.
There was a reason at USAID they did not want anyone to have those records. You know, we found out at USAID they're giving $1.5 million to Serbia for transgender. They're giving over $1 million, I think, to Guatemala for sex changes. This is not going to happen with American tax dollars any longer. And we're going to find out who you are, and it's going to stop.
Yeah, plain and simple. And they're trying to delay the inevitable. Let's be real. They're just delaying the inevitable. The Treasury Secretary has every right to look at the Treasury records. And if he grants access to Elon Musk and Doge, which is what the president campaigned on and promised to do, it's going to happen. Spoiler alert. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. Now, we played audio from Scott Bessent last week where he said, you know, this isn't just a team of Doge kids. They're embedded with Treasury employees. They only have read access to the records. They don't have any access to the code. They can't go in and make any changes. They can only go in and make suggestions. But even that is a bridge too far for these leftists and these radicals in the judiciary. So President Trump was asked about this on his flight to the Super Bowl about the lawsuit and about the delay, the temporary pause on their access to the Treasury records.
And J.D. Vance said judges aren't allowed to control the executive power. What's your take on that?
Well, we're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go, and we're talking about fraud, waste, abuse. And when a president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse, we don't have a country anymore. So we're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling. But we have a long way to go. We have to find all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse, and theft, by the way. And the day you're not allowed to look for theft and fraud, etc., then we don't have much of a country. So no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, honestly, it is a disgrace. And this is what Trump is going to be up against over the next 4 years. Radical leftists who were appointed by Obama or appointed by Biden, and he's gonna be up against that. His whole team is going to be up against that. They got to figure out a way to combat that. He also said this on the flight. Behind him was a big map. It said Gulf of America. Do you know he declared yesterday Gulf of America Day? Did you see that?
I did not see that. That's wild.
I hope everybody had a great Gulf of America Day. Yeah, it was Gulf of America Day yesterday. Big fan. We'll talk a little bit about Gulf of America Day and how one should celebrate Gulf of America Day when we return. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
After reports of lewd behavior, the director of an East Tennessee VA hospital has now resigned. Also, one Tennessee lawmaker is getting tough on the cities that pass woke laws. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Only one, though.
Only one?
Only one. We need more.
Yeah, we do. We certainly do,
We
yeah.
need to be like 10, 15, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joan Jones coming up in the news. It's 9:56 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, getting the chemicals out of your water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com. Talk to Craig. Talk to Brandy. They'll hook you up. They'll even test your water for free. BetterWater.com. So yesterday, Super Bowl Sunday, it was a big day. It was a big day. It was actually Gulf of America Day. Did you know that? The president signed a proclamation as Air Force One flew over the Gulf of America, declaring it Gulf of America Day. And I want to take it a step farther. Can we get a long weekend out of this? Do you think we could?
If it involves a long weekend, I'd absolutely take it.
I think we should make that happen. Just
also,
one
if it falls the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Gulf of America Day is always celebrated the Monday after the Super Bowl. That'd be dope.
Air Force One is currently in international waters for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well.
I just like Trump. Wow. He did that well. that was some good announcing.
Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go.
And he's signing the proclamation, declaring it Gulf of America Day.
So this is a famous pen now.
He said, so this is a famous pen now. It is. It is. We got Gulf of America Day. Listen, we knew things were going to get good. Who knew we were going to get Gulf of America Day out of the deal? That's fantastic. Are you with it? Are you on board for Gulf of America Day? I'm here for it. And then Trump, in true Trump fashion, he's taking questions from all the reporters that are on the flight, and he gets one question from Huffington Post, and Trump didn't like the question, but we're starting to see shades of Trump versus the fake news coming out again, and it's classic Trump.
The Vice President suggested that if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they can just enforce it by themselves. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
I'm the wonder. I thought they died. Are they still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died. Go ahead.
So the question was, if the Supreme Court doesn't rule in a way you like, you're going to impulsify them. That's what J.D. Vance said. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with? Oh, just one more time, because it's just so good. Classic Trump.
You just enforce it by yourself. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
I'm the wonder. I thought they died.
He said, oh, no wonder. I thought they died. I thought they died.
They still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died. All right, go ahead.
All right, next question.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a fun 4 years.
It sure will.
The memes are going to write themselves. On the way, we got Donald Trump's Super Bowl interview. I'll bring you the latest on that. And Canada, 51st state, they all say it's a real thing. Trump says it's a real thing. Mike Waltz, he says it's a real thing. We'll bring it to you next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're up to 41 now, and we'll get to 51 later on today. Got some rain moving into the mid-state as well. The details coming up in the weather just after the news. Governor Bill Lee is set to deliver his State of the State address today as part of a joint session in the House chambers. It comes just over a week after 3 of his top priorities were passed during a special session, including a school voucher program, Hurricane Helene relief, and measures that help the state implement the Trump administration's immigration policies. Meantime, House Speaker Cameron Sexton is preparing legislation that would cut state funding to cities if they pass measures that violate state laws. It could cause Memphis to lose $75 million in funding over a gun control measure that was approved by voters in a referendum. That goes against state laws that allow carrying guns in most public spaces without a permit. Sexton wants to set up a 30-day process so cities and counties can fix any violations before the state yanks its funds. The director of the Mountain Home Veterans Affairs in Johnson City in East Tennessee has now resigned amid an investigation into reports of an orgy on the campus of that VA. But the identity of that director has not yet been revealed. 3 others have also resigned. The chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Republican Mike Bost of Illinois, says it's a good start, but there are 15 other female employees involved in that scandal who are still working there.
We have to make sure that the VA facilities we have are focused on the mission, and that's taking care of the veteran, not participating in something as embarrassing and just wrong as this is.
Now, the probe that began in July found one employee had sexual relations with more than 30 other employees. Bost says he'll press the Trump administration to get involved in this investigation. 6 Americans are still being held hostage in Gaza, but the ceasefire there appears to still be holding. This as a corridor is fully reopened without the presence of Israeli forces that allows people to return to northern Gaza. ABC's Britt Clennon says Israeli forces are ramping up a campaign in the West Bank.
The IDF also expanding its operation in the occupied West Bank. 2 Palestinian women, one of them pregnant, was killed by Israeli forces, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry there. The IDF saying they are investigating the incident.
Now, Hamas released 3 male hostages over the weekend. They were emaciated and appeared quite frail. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So Donald Trump was so bored at the Super Bowl. It's the first Super Bowl that a sitting U.S. president has ever been to. And he was so bored that he decided to leave so that way he could send out truth social posts about the penny and the ineffectiveness of it. And I listen, I'm not one to disagree with the president, but I'm very pro-penny. I'm very pro-penny. I am. Mason's in there shaking his head. I already had to deal with it with Murphy. Do you know that the entire show, the text, the group text, I wish you guys could see the transcript from the group text between Mandis and Murphy and myself and the great penny debate of 2025. These guys are so pro-penny or so anti-penny. It's like what's wrong with you guys? I don't understand it.
At least with the copper out of their pockets.
Must be nice. I gotta count those pennies. Every penny counts. I'm very pro-penny. I don't have anything else to say about it. I think Murphy's wrong. I think Mandis is wrong. I think the American people deserve pennies.
I'm indifferent, to be honest, but if I had to choose and it saves us our government money, I think we got to get rid of them, man.
You're right. Let's take all the savings that we'd have from eliminating the penny and let's fund transgender comic books in Peru.
Well, we're working on stopping that too, though.
I know, but it's jeez. We have bigger fish to fry than the penny.
That's fair.
We have bigger fish.
That's
to fry.
very fair.
But Murphy says he's been anti-penny for over a decade now. That's what he said to me.
That doesn't surprise me.
I think it was even longer. I think that's the text thread goes on. He said I've been anti-penny for years. I've been anti-penny for decades. I've been anti-penny since I learned about money. That this is just, I was anti-penny in the womb.
I was anti-penny before I learned how to walk.
Before it was cool, Murphy was anti-penny. Just let me give you a teaser for what's coming up on the Murphy Show today at 3 o'clock. Before he was anti-penny before it was cool. Get ready. Get ready.
Before God said, let there be light, Murphy was there saying, I hate the penny.
Honestly. This is what we're going to find out. So Donald Trump was at the game. He didn't stick around because it was a boring Super Bowl. Everybody knows it. And we're still waiting to hear from Mac Mory, who's been dodging our phone calls.
He's quote unquote on a show.
Oh, he's working. I'm sorry.
He's doing his job.
Yeah, okay.
He's making a living.
Oh, okay. Got to save up those pennies, Maury.
Yeah. He's working and then he has to hop on a flight. That's pretty quick after his show, apparently.
Yeah. Donald Trump gave an interview before the game, and he was talking about, the unifying of the country. And he said this a couple times. He said it before, and he'll say it again. Success is what's going to bring the country together.
I would say this. We have to come together, but to come together, there's only one thing that's going to do it, and that's massive success. Success will bring the country together.
Yeah, and success is around the corner. When you see Japan investing $1 trillion into our economy, you see all these countries lining up who said they wouldn't have invested this money just 4 years ago because of the leadership we had in place. The success is coming. Success is coming. Make no mistake about it. The wins are going to keep racking up, and we're going to turn around and we're going to go, damn, how did we get here? And we're going to say it was Donald J. Trump. Though the question did come up about Canada being a 51st state. And he was asked if this was a real thing. Are you serious about Canada being the 51st state?
The Prime Minister said this weekend to a group of Canadian businessmen, he was a private meeting, he said that your wish for Canada to be the 51st state is a, quote, real thing. Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is a real thing. Now, I don't know how good that would be for the country long term with the amount of liberals infected with the woke mind virus in America's hat. I don't know if we need that or want that. If we want to make them a territory where they can't vote, I'm down for it. And listen, much like anybody else, I don't see any value in having to drive through Canada to get back to America. I think that should all be American territory. But Trump, very serious. Is the Canada being a 51st state a real thing? Yeah. It is.
Yeah, it is. I think Canada would be much better off being a 51st state because we lose $200 billion a year with Canada, and I'm not going to let that happen. It's too much. Why are we paying $200 billion a year essentially in subsidy to Canada? Now, if they're a 51st state, I don't mind doing it.
Paying so much in subsidy to Canada. We're subsidizing the entire country, $200 billion a year. Why are we doing it? Where's the benefit for us? Where is the benefit for us? I mean, listen, if we're getting our hands on some of those natural resources, I'm down. Let's talk about it. But let's be real. The Canadians, overwhelmingly, they don't want this. The government obviously doesn't want this. But I do think that a lot of this is part of negotiations, right? And getting ourselves on equal footing trade-wise. Canada needs America a lot more than America needs Canada. Let's be perfectly honest. But on Meet the Press over the weekend as well, Mike Waltz was on with Kristen Welker, and she was doing her best disappointed mom impression when she was talking to him about this. But she asked Mike Waltz about Canada becoming the 51st state.
Rapid fire final round, if I could. Let's talk about Canada in a closed-door meeting with business leaders. Outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warned that President Trump is serious about annexing Canada to make it the 51st state. Is he right? Is President Trump serious about planning to annex Canada?
I love how they annex Canada. Like, we're just going to go in there and take it by brute force. Listen, if we did, it would be over relatively quickly. Where are we going to go annex Canada?
Look, I think the Canadian people many of them would love to join the United States with no tariffs, with lower taxes. And I have all kinds of neighbors down in Florida that are Canadians that are escaping many of the liberal policies and have moved in. But look, what we're talking about
yes
here
or
is
no? First of all, I think some
American
Canadians would
leadership
disagree
in
with
the
you.
Western Hemisphere.
I think some Canadians would disagree
Sure.
with you. But just yes or no, is he planning to annex
part
Canada?
Of his policy. Well, I don't think there's any plans to invade Canada, if that's what you're talking about. But there is a lot of people that like what we have in the United States and do not like the last 10 years of liberal progressive governance in Trudeau.
Now, you can't see it on the screen, and we're working on ways that we can have these videos up so that way you can watch them on Super Talk TV with us while we play them. But Kristen Welker, she thinks like she has this gotcha question. Is he going to annex Canada? And she gives him this look like, just very, very stern look. I say it's like the stern face. Like when my kids are being bad, I give them the stern face and they kind of know what time it is. It's one of those things that's like really helpful in a quiet setting. When you get your stern face down. Parents know what I'm talking about. But she gives him the stern face and he's like, come on, what are we doing here? No, we're not going to send the military into Canada. We're not. Now, I think that there's an interesting dynamic at play in Canada. You have a lot of blue-collar workers who would love to be a part of America. Make no mistake about it. But the people in charge, they wouldn't want that at all. Now, I have friends up in Waterloo in Ontario. And, my buddy Keith, he's a car repairman, and he works at an auto body shop. He's a great guy. Young family. They got a little baby girl. It is unaffordable to live there. Unaffordable. Half of his check is taken for his health insurance and taxes. It's ridiculous. And the inflation that we've dealt with down here, they've also been dealing with up to the north. It's insane. A guy like him, yes, he would sign up to be part of America in a minute's notice. Absolutely. He'd be all for it. But I don't know if the leadership in Canada is ever going to take that. I doubt they will.
But really what you're seeing is a reassertion of American leadership in the Western Hemisphere from the Arctic all the way down to the Panama Canal. And that's what we're talking about, from Greenland to Arctic security to the Panama Canal coming back under the United States. America has avoided our own hemisphere where we have the energy, the food, and the critical minerals for way too long. And you're seeing a reassertion of President Trump's leadership.
I love that. America has ignored our own hemisphere for way too long. America has ignored our own hemisphere. We have so much in the Western Hemisphere. We don't need anything else. But we do need Canada to get on board and start working with us. We do. There was a couple questions also during the Trump interview before the game. This one made me chuckle. He was asked about the Trump dance becoming a thing. And Trump said, I had no idea that the Trump dance was going to be a thing.
Finally, listen, you are the most recognized person in the world, likely the most imitated person in the world. Every comedian has a Donald Trump imitation, everyone. But now you have UFC fighters winning fights, NFL players doing the Trump dance. Yeah. Did you ever think that was going to be a thing?
No, I didn't. I mean, we do these rallies. They've always been great, but they got really great. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I try and walk off sometimes without dancing, and I can't. I have to dance because it's just got something special about it.
You know, he had no idea it was going to become a thing. The Trump dance, I mean, it took the world by storm. Everybody loves the Trump dance. My kids do the Trump dance. Everybody does the Trump dance. The only thing out of this interview that I was like, ooh, he whiffed on that one. He was asked for a prediction of who would win the game. Kids, if you're looking for an opportunity to point out and say Donald Trump was wrong, it would be his prediction for the Super Bowl. He went with Kansas City because he said the quarterback's wife is big fan of MAGA, and well, we saw how that played out. Everybody except for the Chiefs showed up for the Super Bowl. Terrible. We're also, I mean, listen, Mac Mory, former producer of the show, former news guy here at WTN, now producing a show on Kansas City's flagship station for the Chiefs. He says, I'm busy. I'm producing a show. I can't make it to the phone. We're still waiting to hear from Mac Mory. We'll find out. We'll find out how Mac's doing. We're going to send up a wellness check for Mac Mory. And in the meantime, the Democrats are still just absolutely insane and butthurt over their slush funds being cut off. All weekend long, you had radical left Democrats talking about how it's a threat to democracy. It's a constitutional crisis. It's going to weaken our national security after USAID funding has been cut. Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut, he was quite upset that we are no longer going to be funding transgender comic books in Peru and sex changes in Guatemala.
Listen, I think this is the most serious constitutional crisis the country has faced, certainly since Watergate. The president is attempting to seize control of power and for corrupt purposes.
Okay. It's a constitutional crisis. Donald Trump is trying to seize power for corrupt purposes. You can't stop giving condoms to the Taliban on the taxpayer dime. This is a constitutional crisis. You can't stop funding gain-of-function research all over the world. It's a constitutional crisis. The farming in Afghanistan has to continue because we need the crops, right? Not the opium. It's the crops. It's a constitutional crisis, says Chris Murphy.
The president wants to be able to decide how and where money is spent so that he can reward his political friends, he can punish his political enemies. That is the evisceration of democracy.
You know, the funny thing is he doesn't realize the definition of hypocrisy is right there in front of his face. This is the evisceration of democracy. He's going to reward his political friends and go after his political enemies. Yet what we have found with the USAID spending is quite literally that. Isn't it amazing? USAID funding propaganda to go after Donald Trump. USAID funding can be traced back to the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. Oh, but Donald Trump is going to use this to help his political friends and hurt his political enemies. They always tell you what they do by accusing the other side of doing exactly the same thing. And it's not just Chris Murphy flipping out about this. It's not. We got Ilhan Omar. We got Senator Andy Kim. And Chris Coons, the guy who let Joe Biden sniff his own daughter. And then went on to shill for Joe Biden for how many months? Saying he was sharp as a tack? That guy? That guy. They're all coming out. And they're all talking up a big game about what a threat to democracy this is with Donald J. Trump. We'll cover it when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Winter clearance specials happening right Now it's your last chance for the lowest of low price installs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is clearing out their 2024 inventory, and they're making room for their 2025 models. And they're passing the savings along to you. Like this, just $6,997 for a 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pump model. Price is not going to be honored if it's financed, but it's a good price if you got some cash on hand. Also, you'll get a bundle smart thermostat for free. That offer is limited to the first 25 customers. And maybe you don't need to replace your unit, and I hope you don't. Let's be honest. Maybe you just need that maintenance. Well, if that's all you need, call Busy Bee and sign up for the Beehive Club membership. They'll take care of you for just $99 per unit, 3 annual tune-ups, 10% on all repairs, front-of-the-line service, and a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, plus no overtime or holiday fees and exclusive Beehive member promotions. And all month long, you buy a Beehive Club membership, you're going to get one for free of equal or lesser value. That's Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're the best. Call Busy Bee, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
So much rain is coming our way. There is a concern about flooding this week. Also, there's only 2 sexes. That's what legislators are debating about in Nashville. We've got those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I didn't know we had to keep debating that. I thought Donald Trump solved that with an executive order.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. All right. I don't want to keep going on about the penny, but I do want to point out that the great penny debate is still flourishing on our Facebook page, on our super text line, and on the YouTube chat. Everybody's talking about the penny.
One of my favorite texts that I saw come in on the text line was 9214. saying the penny is a gateway coin.
Oh,
It will lead to the nickel, then the dime, then before you know it, we won't have coins at all.
I know. I'm here with you. I'm here. 1476 said the only penny worth keeping is Daniel Penny.
Nice one.
That's good. That's good.
It's solid. It's solid. And then 1827 pennies and maple syrup. Don't need them. Don't need them.
I don't know, man.
I don't know about
Syrup's
the maple
pretty
syrup,
good.
right?
Yeah, I was like, maybe the people who make them don't need to be a part of the country, but
Do you know how to do the polls on YouTube?
I could figure it out.
All right, figure it out. Let's get a penny poll.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'll see what I can do.
We need a penny poll.
Penny poll for sure.
Yeah, make it happen. Make it happen.
I got you.
While Mason works on that, I have to mention Mac Mory is still dodging us.
Oh, man.
I mean, can you blame him?
He must really be sad.
I can't blame him. I can't blame him. But
What was the final score again?
I don't know. I didn't watch the end of it. Did you watch? Did you stay up for the whole game, Joan?
Yeah, I did.
You're a beast.
I know. It was the dumbest thing I ever did. I'm so tired this morning. But, the joy was amazing.
Oh, I bet it was awesome seeing that victory.
What was the final score? I know you know the final.
I really don't.
You don't know the final score?
No.
It was like 40-something to 20-something, right?
Yeah.
Somebody on the text line will tell me.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. You know what matters? That's what matters. Can I just say? Fight. Okay, there, I'm done. Now I've gotten to do it to you two.
All right, perfect.
I do think it's important to point this out. Eagles won by a 20-point lead, basically. It was 22-40 was the final score.
Everybody's saying, oh, it was such a blowout. It was a boring game. But I think really the story is that everybody expected Kansas City to win so much that the Eagles winning in a blowout was like crazy cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. I was rooting for him from the beginning just because I didn't want the Chiefs to win because I'm the opposite of Mory right now, and I just needed that to exist.
The game was so boring. Donald Trump left and started posting about the penny.
It's okay. He has bigger fish to fry.
That's true.
I'm with you. All right, so Democrats are still mad. We played some Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut, which is just... If anybody's the epitome of what is Connecticut, it's Senator Chris Murphy, and he's very upset. Called it a constitutional crisis. The worst constitutional crisis the country's faced since Watergate, the elimination of USAID funding. And I'm just laughing. I'm laughing through all this because, as he says this, I have stories like this. USAID funneled millions to Black Lives Matter through Tide Center. The United States Agency for International Development, mind you, issued a $24.7 million grant to the George Soros-funded Tide Center, which then funneled millions of taxpayer funds to the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. Tides granted more than $12.6 million from its Black Lives Matter support fund to help support BLM grassroots during the height of the Summer of Love following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. BLM Grassroots is an organization that works with local Black Lives Matter chapters and similar racial justice groups. So when everybody said, who's funding these protests? These protests all look so similar. Who's funding them? George Soros is funding them. It's like, actually, you were funding them.
We're funding them.
I was funding them.
Mm-hmm.
Mason was funding them. Joan was funding Black Lives Matter protests.
Not on purpose.
Accidentally. Just every last penny.
It's insane. But this is what they're really worried about, I think the Democrat Party is. The discovery was revealed after the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation sued the Tide Center in California court last year, accusing the nonprofit of withholding $33 million in donations to the foundation. Tide was forced to issue a clarification that the funds were intended for BLM Grassroots, which is a distinct organization separate from the BLM Global Network Foundation and other racial justice groups. Tides, which manages roughly $1.4 billion in assets, said the amount awarded was $12.6 million, according to a statement issued from Bloomberg. So as these guys are running around the country, burning down police stations, burning down small businesses, getting visits from the brick ferry to throw bricks through windows, they're being funded by taxpayer dollars. The findings resurfaced after Doge, headed by Elon Musk, took a wrecking ball to USAID last week. Doge revealed that the government agency has been spending billions of taxpayer dollars on all sorts of things, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $20 million on children's TV shows in Iraq, $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language.
What?
Yeah. Binary gendered language. You got to avoid that stuff. Don't fear, though. Joan will not make the same mistakes as Sri Lankan journalists in the news, which starts right now.
$10:30 now. At 10:31, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got your forecast coming up, but the forecast is at the top of the news this morning. We hope you don't mind a lot of wet weather. Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro is telling us we're about to have a string of rainy days in a row.
Rain is really going to start to settle in the middle of our night tonight. It will not let up for most, if not the entire day tomorrow. There should be a little bit of a break into early Wednesday before another round of rain comes Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening, and there's even more rainfall coming for our weekend.
Now, we could get as much as 2 inches of rain just tomorrow, and then by the weekend, there's a risk that rivers and creek levels could rise. You'll want to keep it here on 99.7 WTN for all the latest weather information. We'll stay on top of it. A bill proposed in the Tennessee legislature would declare just two sexes, male and female. There are House and Senate bills filed now, and both bills have matching language. This is not the first time, though, that Tennessee lawmakers have addressed this issue. In 2023, Governor Bill Lee signed SB 1440, which said a person's sex is determined by anatomy and genetics existing at the time of birth. In an online post that has sparked some concern from Democrats, Vice President Vance says that judges are not, quote, allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. The Trump administration is lining up its defenses against judges who are attempting to stop the president from enacting his agenda.
Federal courts have so far blocked the president's order on birthright citizenship and paused efforts to put more than 2,000 USAID workers on leave and have Elon Musk's Doge team accessing the Treasury Department's payment system. Later today, a federal judge in Boston hears arguments over the president's plan to offer buyouts to more than 2 million civilian employees. Federal workers' unions are suing, saying Trump doesn't have the legal authority to extend the offer.
ABC News correspondent Stephen Portnoy there. That's the latest news. We've got your weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
1037 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The great penny debate rages on. I don't want to get rid of the shiny little feller, but it seems like everywhere I turn, I get more and more opposition. Even Brian Wilson has sent me a text now saying he's with Murphy on the penny. You got to get rid of it. It's okay. Listen, I love these guys, even if they're wrong. Even if they're wrong. But if it's the out of the four of us, 3 are pro penny, 1 myself. Oh no, sorry, 3 are anti penny. Only myself is anti penny, or anti getting rid of the penny. It's very confusing. I'll find out what Chad Benson says when we do our cross with him later on today. Ken Weaver's in the building. Ken, are you pro or anti penny?
I am just like Lionel Richie. I'm a penny lover.
That's why we love Ken Weaver. It's me and you against the world, Ken. Me and you against the world.
You can't get rid of the penny.
I'm with you. Very pro penny. Very pro penny.
Sometimes the pennies were all I had.
That's it. That's it. You got to count them up. Roll them things.
That's right.
It's worth it. I got all sorts of pennies. I got steel pennies at the house.
Oh, yeah?
From World War II. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those are fun.
Man, I follow this guy on Instagram. I can't remember his name. It's like I think the name of the account is like Old Homes or something like that. And he goes to these old abandoned homes and he, has a metal detector. And I mean the things he turns up. And he turns up a lot of coins.
Yeah.
And old pennies. So I bet you this guy, he's not against he's against getting rid of the penny too.
You can't do it. I'm firmly against it. I wish the Democrats would if they're going to oppose anything Trump's doing, can we at least get him on the penny argument? Get him on the record. I might agree with them on something. And it seems like whatever Trump wants to do, the Democrats are against it. Democrats are big mad about him going into USAID and Elon Musk helping slash some spending. And I think it's also important to point out he's just making suggestions, right? He's just making suggestions to the president. Then the president is going to implement them as they go on. But you got Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut calling it the most serious constitutional crisis the country has faced since Watergate. Okay, all right, that's interesting. He said that Trump is going to use that to go after his political enemies and help his political friends. And then I look at the USAID spending. I'm like, isn't that what you guys were doing? Just full stop? That's what you guys were using this for, right? USAID funneled millions to Black Lives Matter during the Summer of Love. USAID helped fund the impeachment trial for Donald J. Trump, the impeachment accusations. USAID helped fund anti-Trump propaganda around the world and domestically. Isn't that what you guys are doing? Exactly what you're accusing Trump of doing. It always happens that way. But yet, the Democrats are still lining up to shout about it. Ilhan Omar went on CBS's Face the Nation over the weekend, and this is what she thinks about cutting taxpayer-funded waste, fraud, and abuse inside the federal government.
Yeah, I mean, what we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis.
It's another constitutional crisis. This is the same Ilhan Omar who is on video telling illegal alien Somalis how to avoid ICE. Yep. That Ilhan Omar. The same one that she married her brother, right? Asking for a friend.
Crisis. We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution in honoring Congress's role in the creation of the agencies, in their role in deciding where money is allocated. Yeah, I mean, what?
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Why did the federal judge out of New York block the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, from viewing Treasury records for a week? They're overstepping their bounds. Plain and simple. Mike Waltz was on Meet the Press over the weekend talking about USAID, and he said, listen, all too often, the missions and the programs of USAID are not in line with strategic U.S. interests. And this is why they're being shut down.
Often, all too often, only cents on the dollar actually makes it to people in need between the big contractors, the subcontractors, the local contractors. The dollars aren't being used wisely. We need to take a hard look at it. We need to move quickly. And that's exactly what's being done. And personally, I can tell you, I've worked out in the Middle East. We saw a radio station with a big Built by America USAID. We go inside, and there is literally a black turbaned mullah backed by Iran preaching anti-American hate, and yet the USAID officer in charge told me as a Green Beret, well, we're just building radio stations, we're just handing out food. That's our job, to just be humanitarian.
Are you starting to get a clearer picture of what USAID was doing? So as Mike Waltz says, he was a Green Beret. USAID builds a radio station in Afghanistan, and then they go inside the radio station and they're broadcasting anti-American propaganda. That's your taxpayer dollars at work. Getting everybody on the same page in these countries to hate America. They say it's our job to be humanitarian. Mike Waltz says no.
No, we need to realign their mission and line it up with the president's foreign policy vision.
Yeah, that's what we need to do, and this is why the Democrats are so worried about it. Donald Trump is so scary. He wants everything to be America first. We want to keep funding radio stations in Afghanistan that will broadcast anti-American propaganda. We want to keep funding media outlets to push anti-Trump news. We want to keep funding DEI musicals in Ireland and transgender operas in Colombia. We want to keep funding the Afghan opium farming. That's what the Democrats are saying, albeit not saying it, when they go on live TV and complain about USAID being shut down. And it's Democrat after Democrat after Democrat all weekend long. They're all trying to get their moment in the sun to say Orange man bad, South African man bad, as they just scream about Trump and Elon. Even this guy, Senator Andy Kim, I don't know, I'd never heard of him before, but it's like, hey, are you a Democrat and are you mad about what Donald Trump is doing in the country? Perfect. Come on, meet the press. So Andy Kim is on Meet the Press over the weekend, and this is what he had to say.
What we're seeing right now with the Trump administration over the last week is just very clearly an American retreat when it comes to the rest of the world.
It's an American retreat when it comes to the rest of the world. It's an American retreat. I think what we're seeing very clearly is America first. And funding radical programs like building radio stations in Afghanistan for anti-American propaganda to be broadcast probably isn't in our best interest. Funding DEI musicals in Ireland, you tell me how that makes America stronger. Funding transgender comic books in Peru or sex changes in Guatemala. How does that make America a stronger nation? How? Like even though they're like, oh, it's aid, we're feeding kids. When? Where did that happen? I'm not opposed to helping people where we can help them, but when we're funding things that are just so radical, so leftist, so woke, we're actually making a lot of these countries hate us more than they already did. They look at what we're doing. Do you think the people of Guatemala look at American taxpayer dollars coming in to fund sex changes and they go, wow, gee whiz, thanks, America. We sure do love this. No, not at all. It's not furthering our interests. It's not furthering our standing on the national stage. It's not. But this is what they say.
Handing this over, like China doesn't even need to fight for their influence around the world now because of our own effort. We're doing China's work for them. And I hope that the American people understand just how dire a situation this is going to be, something that makes it more likely that we see conflicts, may have to use our own troops. And also, this is something that affects our ability to be able to access other markets, to grow our economy. So this has very tangible impacts, and this is going to be devastating to our nation's national security.
Okay. Very tangible aspects that's going to be devastating to our nation's national security. We're handing everything over to China. China? We're handing it over to China. China. You know, it's again, Benson. I listen to Benson. I listen to him on the ride home, and he always says, you know how China gets influence? There's no strings attached. Here's $10 million. Do whatever you want with it. In America, what we're doing is, here's $10 million. You need to make a DEI musical. You need to make a transgender opera. We're not winning anybody over with this. And Senator Andy Kim says, oh, this is detrimental to our nation's national security. Okay. USAID funded college tuition for an Al-Qaeda terrorist. Oh. Is that good for our national security? The U.S. Agency for International Development fully funded the college tuition of Anwar al-Awlaki, an individual who later became a terrorist for Al-Qaeda. According to Fox News' Catherine Herridge, al-Awlaki falsely claimed he was born in Yemen to secure financial aid from the State Department, despite actually being a U.S. citizen born in New Mexico. He later developed ties with the September 11th hijackers and rose to a leadership position in Al-Qaeda's Yemen affiliate. His writings were also widely used in online jihadist propaganda aimed at radicalizing Americans to support Al-Qaeda's cause. I feel like this would be more of a national security threat, personally. Maybe I'm missing something. Catherine Herridge is a fantastic journalist, but USAID supported college tuition for a guy who later became a high-level Al-Qaeda terrorist. Talk about national security. Insanity. Absolute insanity. Dave in Beech Grove wants to talk about USAID. What's up, Dave?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up, man? Dave, you're on the air. What's up?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you guys call it the USAID. Why don't they call it the USAID and help people here in America instead of everywhere else?
I mean, this is my biggest problem with it. We have people that are still homeless in North Carolina after the hurricane. We have people that are homeless in California, and yet they're saying that we need to continue pumping out $20 million for Iraqi versions of Sesame Street.
Yeah, they need to say what it is. It's an aid.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave.
You know, I know. Do what?
I said I'm with you, Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and get that in.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. This is where we're at, 615-737-9986, and they defend the Iraqi Sesame Street. Chris Coons, the gentleman who allowed Joe Biden to sniff his daughter's hair, even though she visibly looked uncomfortable, and then went on to campaign for Joe Biden and cover for Joe Biden for years. Chris Coons was on CNN over the weekend, and he said spending $20 million on Sesame Street in Iraq was an absolute necessity for U.S. taxpayers.
Is funding Sesame Street a judicious use of soft power?
Well, Michael, the way you put it is the way I hope folks considering your poll today will think about it. This isn't just funding a kid show for children, millions of children in countries like Iraq. It's a show that helps teach values, helps teach public health, helps prevent kids from dying from dysentery and disease, and helps push values like collaboration, peacefulness, cooperation in a society where the alternative is ISIS, extremism, and terrorism.
All right, show me some data. How many kids do you think that Iraqi Sesame Street pulled away from Islamic extremism? Like some hard data. How many? Was it worth the $20 million? Maybe it would have been a far better use of money to just never invade Iraq to begin with. Maybe. You know, I think the bomb dropping probably pushed a lot of people towards extremism in that region. Just being honest. But hey, $20 million for an Iraqi Sesame Street. It's a good use of money, says Senator Chris Coons.
And to your point, it's pennies on the dollar. The U.S. Department of Defense has an annual budget of about $850 billion.
Oh, so it's pennies on the dollar. Well, we're getting rid of the penny, sir. So I don't. Are we going to be allowed to say that moving forward? Pennies on the dollar, or is that going to be out? Is it nickels on the dollar now?
Former pennies on the dollar.
Former pennies on the dollar. Okay, pennies on the dollar. He says we spend $850 billion for military. So $20 million is pennies on the dollar. Pennies. We're talking about pennies here. A heck of a lot of pennies, actually. Heck of a lot of pennies. And I'm sure the people in Western North Carolina would have welcomed those pennies on the dollar as they were being forced out of their hotels by FEMA a few weeks ago as a snowstorm barreled towards them, right? Pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar, says Chris Coons. I'll bring you the rest of what Chris Coons has to say on the way. Hang out with us. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. It is that time of the year. Rain season's coming. We got more rain heading our way this weekend. And if you got any areas in your home that is going to let water in to your crawl space or your basement, call USS today. When it comes to a lot of these large home repairs, we pretend we don't see the warning signs because we're afraid of what we're going to hear. And this is especially true with waterproofing. Now, your issue could be something big that absolutely needs to be fixed. Or it could be a small problem right now that if you ignore it, will get bigger. It could also be nothing. But bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. We want peace of mind. That's where USS comes in. They're not going to send you a sales guy with a quota. They're going to send you an expert that's been doing this work for years. And they'll come to your home. They'll look around and provide an honest diagnosis of what you need. Do you see water in your crawl space? Do you see wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors? That's your house trying to tell you to call USS. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Homeowners trust USS. USSTN.com.
Lots of rain on the way for Middle Tennessee, and people are resigning after reports of an orgy in East Tennessee. Got to tell you about that at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You would think in some circles that would help recruitment. What?
That might.
It's 10:57 on Super Talk.
There's probably a bottle in the middle of that circle.
It's 10:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You know why you need a water filter.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com. Find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. So Chris Coons, Senator, he's the guy that let Biden sniff his kid, and he didn't seem to have a problem with it. He went on to defend Biden for years after that. So he's sharp as a tack. Chris Coons said that Iraqi Sesame Street costing $20 million, it was worth it. Said it was pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. And I made the point. It's funny, you know. I bet you people in Western North Carolina, East Tennessee, Los Angeles after the wildfires, Lahaina in Hawaii, I bet you they would have liked some of that pennies on the dollar to help them out of a jam. But it's always America last with these people. Everybody else first. That's the biggest issue here. Pennies on the dollar is what he called Iraqi Sesame Street. $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. Pennies on the dollar.
Terrorism. And to your point, it's pennies on the dollar. The U.S. Department of Defense has an annual budget of about $850 billion.
I mean, until Elon looks at that budget, too.
USAID was spending about $30 billion. It is a small proportion of our total federal spending. And as Joe Nye would often say, it's not just soft power, it's smart power.
Oh, is it smart to spend $20 million on Iraqi Sesame Street? Just because it's low compared to what the budget is? I think that this is part of the problem with these just career politicians. Oh, that's nothing. That's not the budget's $30 billion, so we should be fine with spending $20 million on a puppet show for kids? $20 million on a puppet show? Are there any puppet shows in America who have a budget of $20 million? Daily Wire just did their Bent Key. They created a streaming service for Bent Key for kids. And they had puppet shows for youngins on there. I'd be willing to bet, and this is just an opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up. But if somebody from the Daily Wire could confirm, I'd love to air it out. How much did their puppet shows cost? I bet you all of their original shows were under $20 million. But a puppet show in Iraq, that's worth it.
Let me leave you with one other quote, Michael, if I could. Jim Mattis, who is a 4-star Marine Corps general and Trump's Secretary of Defense in his first term, in a hearing back then said, if you slash development and aid spending, then I'm going to need more bullets for our troops.
Well, we'd be able to afford more if we weren't spending $20 million on a puppet show in Iraq. It's 11:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Rain starts overnight here in Middle Tennessee. May not let up until Thursday. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Yeah, Ginger Z says while the northern half of the country is going to be getting snow and ice, Middle Tennessee and other parts of the South are going to have to deal with rain.
On the southern side of this, there is a considerable flood threat. So northern Alabama or Georgia are kind of in that bullseye, 3, 4, 5 inches. And an elevated risk of flash flooding goes from Texas all the way over to western North Carolina.
Well, the director of the Mountain Home Veterans Affairs in Johnson City, East Tennessee, has resigned amid an investigation into reports of an orgy on the campus of that VA. But the identity of that director has not been revealed. 3 others have also resigned. The chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Republican Mike Bost of Illinois, telling Fox 17 the resignations are a good start, but there are 15 other female employees involved in the scandal who are still working there.
We have to make sure that the VA facilities we have are focused on the mission, and that's taking care of the veteran, not participating in something as embarrassing and just wrong as this is.
Yeah, this investigation began in July. It found that one employee had sexual relations with more than 30 other employees. Representative Bost says he'll press the Trump administration to get involved in this investigation. A 13-year-old is under arrest near Detroit after a string of home invasions where police say young girls were attacked. Police also say thanks to tips from the community, they were able to make an arrest. Here's Eva Pilgrim.
Investigators say he appeared to target young girls, breaking into their homes, in some cases attacking them. Detectives say the 13-year-old has been tied to 9 completed or attempted break-ins in the Detroit area dating back to 2022. The recent attacks really causing fear in that area. The most recent break-in last Tuesday.
Gaza ceasefire. Hamas reportedly accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement and now says it's going to delay the next hostage release set for this weekend. You remember 6 Americans still being held hostage by Hamas. Meanwhile, ABC's Britt Clennett in Israel says Israeli forces are ramping up a campaign in the West Bank.
Federal courts have so far blocked the president's order on birthright citizenship and paused efforts to put more than 2,000 USAID workers on leave and have Elon Musk's Doge team accessing the Treasury Department's payment system. Later today, a federal judge in Boston hears arguments over the president's plan to offer buyouts to more than 2 million civilian employees. Federal workers' unions are suing, saying Trump doesn't have the legal authority to extend the offer.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And everybody loves Dan's Daily Poll on the YouTube. If you're watching us on Super Talk TV, over on YouTube, we have our own poll up now. The penny poll. This is the thing that Americans really do care about, right? So, Mason, what's the poll? What's the question?
The question is, should the penny stay? Stay or get it out of here? Or
Okay.
I threw in a third option. I don't care.
Okay, perfect. What are the poll results so far?
Right now, we were sitting at get it out of here at 46%. Was kind of winning us. 36% was getting us. Was our winner right there. We were sitting at a lower number of 21% to keep it, and the other group is just they don't care. So
we really have a I don't care and keep it tied for second.
Yeah.
And then the 36% is in favor of abolishing the penny. Abolish the penny.
I invite everyone thinking of abolishing the penny to download Lionel Richie's Penny Lover before you vote.
You have to. Let's have an informed opinion, please. Learn about Lionel Richie. It's just me and Ken.
And I don't even know why I don't want to get rid of the penny other than, I don't know, it just seems to be going against the grain.
Yeah, for me, my position was really solidified when Mandis and Murphy wanted to get rid of it.
That's good reason.
So I said, that's it. We're keeping the penny. You guys are wrong. So, and then Brian Wilson texted me, and Brian wants to get rid of the penny. And he said, that's just my 2 cents. I said, you wouldn't be allowed to have 2 cents, sir, anymore if you got rid of the penny. So when we do the cross with Chad, I'm going to find out where he stands. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. This is really going to decide how I feel about Chad moving forward. So, all right. The audience is split on this.
I'm curious, though. Does it go up to a nickel for your thoughts, or is it?
Yeah, what do we do? I
don't know.
It's trouble. It's trouble. I could make the argument to get rid of it. I could, but I don't want to. I'd rather force the other guys to do their homework. I think we should keep the penny.
Well, then what's going to happen to all those, lonely coin machines there in the Kroger?
Yeah.
Nobody will use those machines anymore.
I mean, it'll be there for our lucky little dimes and nickels and occasional quarters.
Yeah.
Oh. We've jumped up to 50% for get rid of it.
50% to get rid of it? This poll is just really, we need our we need the pro penny crowd to step up here. This poll has no weight on official
They're sitting
legislation.
at 36%, and in our third party down here, and I don't care, is a nice little 14.
Okay. All right. If you want to weigh in on the poll, you got to go over to our YouTube channel. While you're there, hit like and subscribe. It helps me feed my kids. If you don't want my kids just eating bread and water, hit like and hit subscribe. Please. They're really tired of bread and water.
Yeah.
I told them. I said, once we get our likes up.
Finally be able to get
might get some bologna on
that. All right. So the Democrats are just so upset about Elon Musk. They can't believe that he wants them not to spend $20 million on Iraqi Sesame Street. He can't believe they can't believe that they don't want us to fund transgender comic books in Peru, opium farming in Afghanistan, propaganda all over the globe. They have no idea how to deal with this. Senator Cory Booker, he kind of said the quiet part out loud. He said, listen, the strategy right now is to do whatever we can to stop Trump. And that's it. I mean, whatever Trump is going to do, they're going to take the opposite position. There are probably some Democrats out there that understand $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street isn't the wisest investment of your tax dollars. But they can't say that out loud because Orange Man bad. Stop Trump by any means necessary.
Tactically, though, I know you're trying to shine a light on it. You're here doing this interview. You're working it online. But when it comes to the tools in your toolbox, there aren't a lot of them. One of them is to try to stop the government funding, to try to do maybe even default on the debt, as I said, or at least force that if the Republicans don't change course. Is that the strategy?
Let me just put it pointedly. The strategy is to do whatever we can to stop Donald Trump from hurting Americans, from making us less safe, less secure, and from raising our costs. We will look at every single tool in our toolbox, as we've done this last week, to make sure that we stop him from hurting people. At the end of the day, Donald Trump has promised America, I will bring down your costs and I'll make you safer. He clearly is doing the opposite. In addition to that, he's opening the floodgates for corruption in our system.
He's closing the floodgates for corruption in our system. Let's be perfectly honest. He's actively working against the corruption in the system. And this is why you're seeing so many of the Democrats just lose their ever-loving minds over it. They're so upset. He says Trump is hurting Americans. He's making them less safe. He's making us less secure. And he should be helping us from keeping us from raising costs. I would argue that he's doing just that with Elon Musk, going line by line through the budget. Line by line by line. And it makes these Democrats upset.
From getting rid of inspector generals who have a track record under Democrat and Republican presidents of saving Americans billions of dollars from waste, fraud, and abuse.
Citation, please.
To letting Elon Musk, one of our biggest government contractors, one of our biggest military contractors, have access to America's most personal information, from your grandparents' medical information all the way down to people's social security information and other things. This is an astonishing allowance of corruption and abuse and violations of people's privacy and other most sacrosanct values.
It's the values. It's all about values. You know, again, Cory Booker won't tell you that the Doge kids looking at the Treasury stuff are doing it with U.S. Treasury employees. He doesn't tell you that all they're doing is making suggestions, saying, oh, someone think of the privacy. But what they're going to do is they're going to absolutely incite people for insanity. And we're seeing it already. We're seeing it. We got a reverend in Chattanooga at the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church calling for violence against Elon Musk in his sermon yesterday. I'll tell you again, there's a church in Chattanooga, the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Steve Coddle is so wound up because of these Democrats and these leftists on TV that he was calling for violence against Elon Musk in his sermon over the weekend.
And in this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go and we will not go. So therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary.
Oh, Weird. I would say, Reverend, which candidate is the most pro-life president we've ever had? Oh, that was Trump. Which president is eliminating gender mutilation on young kids? Oh, that's Trump. He says this is going to lead to bloodshed. This guy's insane. I don't necessarily blame Reverend Steve Coddle, though he is a grown man and he should know what he's saying. I blame a lot of the people in the media for winding him up and making it seem like what's happening at the federal level right now is some great travesty. It's not.
When Elon Musk forces his way into the United States Treasury and threatens to steal your personal information and your Social Security check, there is the possibility of violence.
He didn't force his way in. He was invited in with members of the U.S. Treasury to go line by line and conduct an audit. This man's insane.
Sometimes the devil will act so ugly that you have no other choice but to get violent and fight. Well, someone might say, now, Reverend, you shouldn't be talking about violence. This isn't the Christian thing to do. Well, I will say, why not talk this way? Because Jesus did. Jesus said in this key verse, didn't he? The kingdom of heaven suffers what? Violence. And the who? The violent take it by force. The kingdom of God is a war zone. It is a battlefield. You did know this, right?
That is Reverend Steve Coddle at the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee over the weekend, calling for violence, calling for bloodshed. This is what we're going to see. This is the insanity of the left right now. This is the woke mind virus in action. This is Trump derangement syndrome. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But you know what they're calling for is really, they're calling for violence against you because they're not going to be able to get to Elon Musk. They're calling for violence against regular everyday people. Why? Because we're cutting off aid that sends DEI musicals to Ireland? Because we're cutting off funding for transgender comic books in Peru and opium farming in Afghanistan? Does the Reverend know that? Let's do get Reverend Coddle's information for me out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and let's try and get him on the show. I would love to have a conversation with Reverend Coddle. And maybe we can get a non-woke pastor on to have that conversation as well, because this is insanity. This is insanity. So we'll try and get him on the show. But what he's mad about, Reverend Coddle in Chattanooga, Tennessee, is what Stephen Miller lays out here. It's that USAID was funding an army of left-wing activists, and the spigot has been turned off.
The USAID was a slush fund, first of all, for left-wing projects around the globe, like gender surgeries around the world, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, crazy Green New Deal climate scams, and every other lunatic left-wing project that is bankrupting this country. But even beyond that, it was funding an army of left-wing activists, these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, NGOs. They get billions and billions of dollars, and they use that money to then infiltrate corporate America, to then infiltrate the public sector, to then resettle, for example, at taxpayer expense, millions of illegal aliens into this country, to drive racist equity policies, to drive radical left gender policies. And so what we've learned is that the left's, this mammoth left-wing power structure, plus left-wing media, wasn't organic. It wasn't created naturally. It was funded by taxpayer dollars. And that is why they are screaming and screeching so loud now, is because President Trump is cutting off the slush fund to the organizations that hate and hurt America.
Period. Full stop. It's America first, not America last anymore. And the Reverend over there in Chattanooga, Reverend Coddle, he can scream and say there's going to be bloodshed. And it's like, dude, chill out. Calm down. Talk about Christian values. Like we're putting Christian values more at the forefront now than ever before in this country. We're getting back to that. Yeah, you're upset. Unreal. But, I mean, Doge is doing what needs to be done. And it needs to be done. Stephen Miller continues, this is why we elected Trump. We signed up for this. Nobody voted for Elon, they always say. Nobody voted for Elon. It's like, no, but we voted for Trump because of the promise of Elon Musk. That was part of it. The other part of it was the promise of RFK, the promise of Kash Patel and transparency, radical transparency once again. But Elon Musk was always baked into the cake. We knew that. Now they're trying to shut Elon down. Yet a federal judge in New York put a hold for a week, delaying them being able to look at the records. Even U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is not allowed to look at the Treasury records. The Treasury Secretary is not allowed to look at the Treasury records for a week. Insanity. But this is what we voted for.
A radical left judge said that the Secretary of the Treasury cannot access the Treasury computer system. This isn't just unconstitutional. That ruling is an assault on the very idea of democracy itself. What we continue to see here is the idea that rogue bureaucrats who are elected by no one, who answer to no one, who have lifetime tenure jobs, who we would be told can never be fired, which of course is not true, The power has been cemented and accumulated for years, whether it be with the Treasury bureaucrats or the FBI bureaucrats or the CIA bureaucrats or the USAID bureaucrats, with this unelected shadow force that is running our government and running our country. Donald Trump is engaging in the most important restoration of democracy in over a century by saying that we are going to restore power to the people through their elected president and his appointed officers.
That's it. And that is going to make some people uncomfortable, including Reverend Steve Coddle at the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga, who, because of all this that's been happening with Elon looking at the budget, looking at the items line by line, has now called for violence against Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and let's be honest, their supporters during a sermon over the weekend. Absolute insanity. We got more on the way. We'll talk a little bit more about this as well. It's 11:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hamas says it's going to delay the release of more hostages. We'll tell you about that story and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Man, I was listening to this Chattanooga reverend from the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga, Steve Coddle, calling for violence against Elon Musk for eliminating fraud in the government. And as I listen to this, I'm like, where's the outrage from the talking heads in the media? It's going to be nowhere to be found. They're going to stay away from this story with a 10-foot pole. But if a pastor has the audacity to go to a school board meeting and say, hey, these books on transgenders and sex changes for kids probably shouldn't be in your library for 5 to 10-year-olds, everybody loses their mind. Right? And we've had John Amachukwu on the show, good friend of mine, Pastor John. He goes around to school board meetings and people lose their mind. I wonder what John would have to say about this.
And in this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go and we will not go. So therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary. When Elon Musk forces his way into the United States Treasury and threatens to steal your personal information and your Social Security check, there is the possibility of violence. Sometimes the devil will act so ugly that you have no other choice but to get violent.
And nobody's going to say that this is not okay?
Wow.
Can you imagine that flying at any other church? Like my pastor's pretty conservative. I think he is, Alan Jackson. If he said something like this against the Democrats, they would absolutely go after him with just no holdbacks. And you know what? Rightfully so.
I would like to ask this pastor what evidence he has that Social Security checks are being stolen.
Honestly, they have a read-only version of the Treasury records that they're going through to find out where money is being spent. You see, that's how an audit is conducted.
Wow.
And he's calling for violence, and he tells the members of his congregation to get violent.
And fight. Well, someone might say, now, Reverend, you shouldn't be talking about violence. This isn't the Christian thing to do. Well, I will say, why not talk this way? Because Jesus did.
Oh, okay. I mean, a lot of times those on the left really want to go with the lamb version of Jesus, and they ignore the lion version of Jesus. But in this case, he's going full lion to call for violence against Trump, Elon, their supporters.
Jesus said in this key verse, didn't he? The kingdom of heaven suffers what? Violence. And the who? The violent take it by force. The kingdom of God is a war zone. It is a battlefield. You did know this, right?
Yeah, well, we know now.
Wow.
Again, that's Reverend Coddle out of the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee, preaching to the people in his audience. It's time to get violent. Unbelievable. We actually sent out a message to him to get him on the show to clarify his comments. And I would love to have Reverend Coddle on at the same time as Pastor John Amachukwu and have those two debate and me just sit out. I'll just sit off to the side and let these guys go at it. Because I think that this guy is he's off the deep end with this sermon here.
I would love to hear Pastor John's response to that.
I would too. We'll try and get Pastor John on the show tomorrow. I'll see if I can get him on. Because yeah, what is this? If John Amachukwu said anything like this, are you kidding me? They would go after him with everything they have in their arsenal. This guy isn't going to even he's not even going to get a mention on any of the mainstream media networks. Nothing. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tell you about all the rain that is on the way. Hamas says it's going to delay the release of 3 hostages, which is slated to happen next weekend. They're claiming Israel's barring from people returning to their homes in the north and slowing down the distribution of aid. Here's Britt Clinette in Israel.
Israel calling the decision a complete violation of the ceasefire deal and says it's putting up its military on highest alert level for any possible scenarios.
Still 6 Americans being held hostage in Gaza. Here in Tennessee, got an update on that overnight shooting involving police in Putnam County. The suspect in that case has now died. Police say they attempted to pull over a suspected DUI driver and that the driver pointed a gun at police, then crashed his car in the median on I-40.
Well, police say he drove onto the median there on I-40 and shot at police. They shot back, injuring that driver. He was taken to the hospital where he died. Now, no officers were injured. We know the TBI is investigating.
Metro police searching for a road rage shooter from Saturday. Channel 4 says it happened in South Nashville near Nolensville Pike. Police looking for a light gray or silver Infiniti with black rims. The driver described as a man in his 20s, accused of shooting and injuring someone in a Toyota Yaris. That Yaris pulled into a Taco Bell parking lot for help. And the Super Bowl 59 ads were a mix of old and new, retro and contemporary. Jim Ryan says the commercials are what people are talking about more than the lopsided game itself.
From Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal in a 30-second mayonnaise ad to a 15-second spot featuring Bill Murray imploring,
I don't think I need professional help, but a skilled amateur.
Advertisers await the Nielsen results on audience. Super Bowl 58 set a record for viewership last year, but the game went to overtime. The Eagles had Super Bowl 59 wrapped up at halftime, so it's likely that a lot of viewers tuned out.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Glock store. It's February, and all month long, we're going to be celebrating love, and they want you to aim for the heart at the Glock store. Aim for the heart. All month long, you can get a couple session for the price of one just by mentioning my name, Chris Hand, when you sign up for your session at shoot270.com. You show up, you tell them that Chris Hand sent you, and boom, it's 2 shooters for the price of 1. Now, maybe your wife has had a little bit of hesitancy going and getting up to speed with firearms. The Glock store is the perfect place to take her because then she's going to learn in a private room from a personal instructor. It doesn't matter what level of shooting you're used to. No matter your level, you're going to walk out of there more confident and better than when you walked in. And it's the perfect time to take advantage of this 2-for-1 all February long. Again, whatever level you're at now, you'll both finish better than when you started. 2 shooters for the price of 1. Book it at shoot270.com. Mention my name all February long at my place to train, the Glock store. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
a radical left judge said that the Secretary of the Treasury cannot access the Treasury computer system. This isn't just unconstitutional. That ruling is an assault on the very idea of democracy itself. What we continue to see here is the idea that rogue bureaucrats who are elected by no one, who answer to no one, who have lifetime tenure jobs, who we would be told can never be fired, which of course is not true, that the power has been cemented and accumulated for years, whether it be with the Treasury bureaucrats or the FBI bureaucrats or the CIA bureaucrats or the USAID bureaucrats, with this unelected shadow force that is running our government and running our country. Donald Trump is engaging in the most important restoration of democracy in over a century.
He's absolutely right. That's White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water, LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. This is what Donald Trump is doing. He's restoring America. And it's pissing a lot of people off, including one activist reverend out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I already have a request out to Pastor John Amachukwu to come on the show tomorrow to discuss this. If you want to see this whole video of Reverend Steve Coddle at the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga calling for violence over the weekend, it's on my Twitter page, @ChrisHandOnAir. Hit the follow button while you're there, and I'll follow back. These are the comments made in church on Sunday.
And in this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go and we will not go. So therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary.
Insanity. This man is preaching this at a church. Violence is necessary. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It gets a little bit worse here.
When Elon Musk forces his way into the United States Treasury and threatens to steal your personal information and your Social Security check.
But he did neither of those. He was invited in, and the Doge team is going through it with U.S. Treasury employees. But this guy obviously has been propagandized by MSNBC and CNN and the like, and so he thinks that this is some big evil, when really they're trying to get the spending of the federal government back to sustainable levels. As I'm sure the Reverend understands, we're nearly $40 trillion in debt, and it's not sustainable. Not sustainable whatsoever. But that doesn't stop him. The fact that Elon is in there doing this by invitation, not forcing his way in, by invitation, a campaign promise made by Donald Trump that they're fulfilling, he feels the need to call for violence.
There is a possibility of violence. Sometimes the devil will act so ugly that you have no other choice but to get violent.
This guy's a madman, an absolute lunatic. And you can hear his congregation agreeing with him. Amen. Amen. We wouldn't put up with this if it was a mosque, right? We wouldn't. But this is okay. Calling for violence. It's a church. It's fine. No big deal. Unreal. Insane. In so many ways. Now, Elon Musk, he just wants to get rid of fraud. And he said that there were Treasury employees there that wanted to get rid of the fraud but were stopped by previous management. Now, Elon, again, he only put out suggestions on what the Treasury should do. Then he put it out in a lengthy Doge post, and I'll read it to you because this isn't radical. This isn't worth calls for violence. He said, to be clear, this is Elon Musk on X, to be clear, what the Doge team and U.S. Treasury have jointly agreed makes sense is the following. Require that all outgoing government payments have a payment categorization code, which is necessary in order to pass financial audits. This is frequently left blank, making audits almost impossible. All payments must also include a rationale for the payment in the comment field, which is currently left blank. Importantly, we are not yet applying any judgment to this rationale, but simply requiring that some attempt be made to explain the payment more than nothing. He also said the do not pay list of entities known to be fraudulent or people who are dead or are probable fronts for terrorist organizations or do not match congressional appropriations must actually be implemented and not ignored. Also, it can currently take up to a year to get on this list, which is far too long. This list should be updated at least weekly, if not daily. The above super obvious and necessary changes are being implemented by existing long-time career government employees, not anyone from Doge. It is ridiculous that these changes didn't exist already. Is this worth calling for violence? He said, yesterday I was told that there are currently over $100 billion a year of entitlement payments to individuals with no Social Security number or even a temporary ID number. If accurate, this is extremely suspicious. When I asked if anyone at the Treasury had a rough guess for what percentage of that number is unequivocal and obvious fraud, the consensus in the room was about half. So $50 billion a year or $1 billion a week. This is utterly insane and must be addressed immediately. These are not radical changes. This is smart business. The problem that they have is that Trump and Elon want to run the government like a business, want to maximize efficiency. And you get lunatics out there like the Reverend out of Chattanooga calling for violence on top of it. Insanity. Insanity. Elon also said, just learned that the Social Security database is not deduplicated, meaning you can have the same Social Security number many times over, which further enables massive fraud. Your tax dollars are being stolen. This is what we need to get to the core of. Our tax dollars, where are they going and why? Does it help America? Does it help the American citizens? But just by asking the question, looking into it, Elon is now being threatened with violence by reverends in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And this guy, let's be honest, he's not the only one. We're highlighting the reverend out of the Greater Second Missionary Baptist Church in Chattanooga because he's the closest. But there are a lot of people that are unhinged lunatics calling for this kind of violence. But we have these Social Security numbers that are duplicated in the system over and over and over again. Why would you need Social Security numbers duplicated? It gets crazier and crazier. Elon posting this video last night on X.
We discovered 10,000 people using the exact Social Security number. See if this one rings true. You take an illegal, you bring them in. They sign a piece of paper promising to pay taxes. What they get is a Social Security number. So the employers can take out the taxes. Put a pin in that. Here's what they do. In cities like this, let's think of a chicken processor. They will bring in hundreds of illegals. They will spread them out across all of these plants and factories, giving them jobs. They're all using the same Social Security number. The IRS unconnected our names from the Social Security number. Now when you look it up, it just pings to see if there's an employer. If there is, it says it's good, it validates it. Why do they do that? Because all of these factories are giving them Social Security numbers. The government turns its back on it. As soon as you have a Social Security number and you go over to motor voter, pass the driver's test, right? You get a driver's license. The person looks, you got a social, you must be a citizen. That's how they pack the rolls.
Insanity. Insanity. Over and over and over again. Listen, Doge isn't going to be stopped. Threats of violence be damned. Doge is going to audit the Pentagon next. In a press conference from the White House on Friday, aside Japan's prime minister, Donald Trump said that he has directed the Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Elon Musk, to look into Pentagon spending next. If you think that the screaming and the yelling from the left was bad when they were just going after USAID, wait until they target the military-industrial complex. Elon, I hope he has good security. I really do. He could catch a bullet for this kind of stuff. I mean, you're seeing calls for violence, but he's really going to be messing with some powerful people. But Trump said, we're going to look at the Pentagon next, and then the Department of Education.
And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. And I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it, but we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption. We found tremendous corruption.
Yeah, and the left is going to have a problem with the more corruption that they uncover. And make no mistake about it, more corruption is going to be uncovered. Real quick, Bobby in Nashville wants to talk about the preacher out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Bobby, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Hey, Chris. Hey, that guy promoting violence, that preacher, he kind of reminds me of Maxine Waters. Why are they not looking at the officials looking into something like that? Why aren't they not arrested or anything like that? I don't know how long this preacher's been around, but does he know what Bill Clinton did when he was in office, him and Al Gore, how much they cut of waste? But I don't hear anything or anybody, saying anything about that.
Yep.
What's your take on that?
I think this preacher is just wound up by leftist propaganda and has a severe case of the woke mind virus, and it just doesn't compute. So he sees the TV say Orange Man bad, Elon wasn't elected, and he just regurgitates these talking points, and he's whipped up into a frenzy. Just in case you missed it, it was Reverend Steve Coddle out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, over the weekend in a sermon calling for violence against Elon Musk and in turn, Trump and his supporters.
And in this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go and we will not go. So therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary.
Again, that's Reverend Steve Coddle out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I have an invite to him, open invite to come on the show and clarify his comments. And I've also reached out to a pastor that we all really enjoy and respect, John Machukwu, to see if we can get him on the show tomorrow to talk about these comments from Reverend Steve Coddle in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'll keep you updated on that. John's awesome. He'll probably jump on the show. If he can't, he'll do it sometime this week because he's a good guy, and he's always willing to jump on and talk with us about these matters. We're looking forward to those conversations and more. Chad Benson is going to jump in here in a moment. We're going to find out his thoughts on the penny. Is he with me or is he against me? We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:56, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water, LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Love those guys. Much of the conversation today has revolved around the penny. And I now have Chad Benson in the studio, in the hot seat, if you will. We've heard from Mandis. We've heard from Murphy. We've heard from Wilson. Have you listened to any of my show today?
I have.
Okay, have you heard how those guys are feeling about the penny?
The anti-penny.
They're anti-penny.
They're
So now,
anti-penny. And you're pro-penny.
I'm pro-penny. So I have to find out, like, where do you stand, Chad?
You know what? I think it's useless that we have the penny, but we have it. So let's keep it because people can't give change already anyways. And I think that's just going to mess everything up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was originally meant to keep prices down for some reason or another. I don't know why all of it is just bizarre to me, why it costs so much. Why are we making it out of copper? Why don't we make it out of something else cheaper if we're going to make it? But we're going to stop making it by the sounds of it. But you know what? Since I was a kid, there was always the question, like, why do we have the penny again? What is it for?
Well, it used to be worth something.
Used to be worth a penny.
Yeah.
Now it's worth a third of a penny.
It's insane.
Depending on the time of year, depending on what, the metals are doing, could be worth a little bit more, a little bit less.
Just think getting rid of it puts us in the land of unintended consequences.
That's it. And next thing you know,
everybody's going to round up. They're not going to round down.
No. It's going to be it's going to be a domino effect.
Yeah.
That was the whole point, was it was supposed to keep prices down because you would round down. There's a penny, but now it's like, no, never mind. I'll just.
So you're a pro penny.
Unfortunately.
Me and you versus the world then.
That's okay. I mean, look, I don't hate the penny. I don't love the penny. I don't even think about the penny. It is money, but it's a waste of money. I wonder how much all of our stuff costs. Have you broke that down?
Oh.
Like, what's it cost to mint $1? To make $1 at the mint? What's it cost to put out the paper, to put out all that stuff? What's it cost to circulate? What if we find out it's way more than it's worth? Right?
I don't want digital currency, though.
I don't want digital currency either, but, maybe we should all just make our own.
I've been doing that for years.
You could only pass those off at the dollar store.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not checking or carrying.
There's only a few establishments. What's the poll at on getting rid of the penny?
So pulling up that poll back up for everybody that voted on YouTube, you guys are still in the minority. We got 33% wanting to keep the penny, 48% want to get rid of it, and 18%, they just don't care.
Yeah, I could see that.
Little indifferent.
I feel like the don't care percentage would be higher.
Yeah, so did I. I was expecting that to honestly beat stay, personally.
There's probably a portion of the audience that they don't care so much that they won't even go to the poll.
It's like one of those things
fair.
where it's like, I haven't even thought about it. That's how much I don't care.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's I mean, but it is weird that we have it, because we've talked about it. It's like daylight savings. We've talked about it forever and a day, getting rid of it. And it's just always talk. Although Trump has now got rid of the penny.
Yep.
For now.
I love that the Super Bowl was so bad, he left the game to tweet about the penny.
The penny. Getting rid of the penny.
Did you have a nice Gulf of America day?
I did. It was nice. It was very good. It was a very good day. Gulf of America. Watched the football. I predicted that they were going to win because I said defense wins championships, and they made him look very ordinary. No matter how good of a quarterback you are, if you are laying on your back, it is hard to win a game.
Yep. And as good as people say Patrick Mahomes is, he'll never be better than Tom Brady.
No. Tom was very happy last night. He's oh my God, this is the greatest. I'm very much.
Did you see Nick Foles? He tweeted out, he said, Brady's a good luck charm. We need him at the next Eagles Super Bowl too.
Yeah, he was very excited about the not winning 3 in a row and chasing that GOAT status.
Yep.
And the 3 losses Brady had were all by a point, and he had a chance to win the game. 2 losses he's had in the Super Bowl been blowouts.
Yep. What do you got coming up on the show today?
We're talking a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the wacky commercials, and some of the commercials were but my favorite commercial, little dark humor, it was the Tostinos commercial. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
It was about the alien that gets his head squished. It was just the freaking funniest commercial you've ever seen. We're talking a bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Lindy Lee on with Sean Ryan.
Okay.
That was brutal.
I've seen Lindy Lee.
Yeah, man. But you'll see her in 5-minute chunks, man. She was on there for like 2 hours talking, and she laid it all out.
Do you think that she believes what she's saying, or she's in self-preservation mode?
No, 100%. She believes it. She believes that she went out on the limb for all of these people and were lied to, and she had to go out and she had to take the brunt of how mad everybody was at her because these people stole their money essentially and lit it on fire. And I think she is very, very angry and upset about that because she felt she was lied to too.
Yeah.
She raised money for Trump in his inauguration.
It's wild.
It is wild.
All right, well, I'll be looking forward to that. Chad Benson in next. It's 12:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.